any products and services which any company is offering to a customer, they should be in a position to very clearly articulate that how my products and services are going to add value to the customer.
Hello everyone, this is C K Vishwakarma, founder and CEO of AllThingsConnected Singapore. Today with me in this session is Rajeev Mukul. He's an executive advisor of AllThingsConnected, focusing on business process transformation. I know Rajeev for quite long time before he is a part of the AllThingsConnected family, and we continue to discuss the different topic and the aspects of what we call transformation digital. Issue of digital transformation, because when we are looking into transforming the organization, we need to look at the transformation of the processes first before we jump on to adopting digital technologies. So in this session today, we're going to discuss some of those insights based on Rajeev's extensive experience of being part of many large initiatives in companies like Philips, Reddington, and many more, and see the organizations in this current time of situation of COVID and post-COVID, how they should look into planning their organization and accelerate to the future. So before I start those conversations, let me give an opportunity to Rajeev to give us a quick introduction of his experience, professional experience in last 40 years, and why with AllThingsConnected now. Rajeev, welcome on board, and over to you.
Yeah, thank you, CK, and thanks everyone who is invested their time in attending this session. So my name Rajeev Mukul. I am by education an engineer, electronics and communication engineer. My career took me from as an R&D engineer to a technical salesperson, as a sales leader, and a sales excellence coach. In last 35 plus years. I worked in as a commercial leader or sales leader in companies like Dell, EMC, Seagate, and last 7.5 years I have been with Philips, heading their business transformation division, which basically is the in-house consulting division of Philips, where major projects and major process transformations are the key deliverables for this function. So thanks, CK, and I have just recently left Philips to start my own consulting and as well as advisory services, and I am currently working with CK as an executive advisor.
Thanks, Rajeev. It's a pleasure to have you on board with us. And as I mentioned earlier, Rajeev and I had these conversations many times. Now, for the benefit of the large leadership network, we are hosting this conversation to help them plan their current state to future state journey, especially in this difficult time of COVID-19, to help them reflect, recalibrate, and rebound in the accelerated manner. But before we do that, Rajeev, maybe you could help everyone to understand what we mean by current state to the future state.
Right. No, I think it's a good question, CK. These words, the current state and future state, are very simple to understand words. Everybody can interpret it the way it is. Let me put it this way: for any transformation or any aspiration, which whether as an individual or as a company or as a business leaders, we all have that where we are today. I'm very sure that most people would not have an ambition that I will remain here all my life. They have an ambition that in next few years time, I would like to grow into a larger organization, or I would go into different territories and so on. So everybody has an ambition. And that ambition which if it can be structurally documented, uh, that particular document is normally called as a future state. It looks very simple, but to document an ambition is a quite a analytical and quite a detailed work, because to reach where any company or any business leader wants to reach, there are multiple success criterias which needs to be defined, and those success criterias have to have a prerequisite in terms of processes, people, products, and so on. So a future state is basically is a midterm or a long-term ambition structurally put into a document with a number of parameters which can be measured. It looks very cryptic, but yes, that is very important to have an ambition properly documented, not just simple vaguely in our head. But to reach that particular state that I would like to, for example, if I'm a startup company and in 3 years' time I would like to grow as a scaled up company, and instead of being in Singapore, I would like to be present in 8 or 10 different Southeast Asian countries. For me to reach that particular state, I must have certain qualifications and certain criteria to be fulfilled. But to reach there, there has to be a journey. It will not happen by itself. And that journey is normally called business transformation or digital transformation, or there are many new words are coming up into that transformation. But primarily, it is a journey where we are today and where we want to reach in whatever times everybody has in their own plan. But the way I mentioned to you that if ambition or aspiration has to be structurally documented, similarly, it is extremely important that we have to document our current state where we are today, what type of capabilities we have today, what are the challenges we have today. All those parameters which are making us our current state of business, they also should be documented on a in a structured way, and that document is called current state. So let me give you an example just why these two things are so important, CK. For example, if you would like to go to a new town or a new locality, and if you look at a map and you want to go to some particular place, that is your destination. If you can find that destination in your map, you will be very happy that, oh, I know where I need to go. But to reach there, it is very important that you must know where you are today. You know, normally in most of the maps there is a marking called "you are here."
Right.
Imagine if that "you are not here" was not there in that map, then just finding the destination is of not much use, because you do not know from where, what path you are going to take it there. So that is the type of visualization you can have, that if you have a ambition, you also should have a very clear where I am today, so that a path can be identified. If it is a pre-existing path, very good, but one can always decide if I have to design my own highway or design my own path. So these are the three things components: a future state, a current state, and the path in between. This all these three things put together, this is what can be summarized as a process of business transformation in any company.
When we converse with the business leaders who are trying to transform in this digital transformation race, uh, if they do not know where do they stand today, they will not be able to figure it out what they should do and how do we get there. So it is very critical for the business leader to understand and map their journey very clearly, to first identify where do they stand in terms of their readiness level, in terms of their business process, before they start their digital transformation journey. As we always discuss that technologies are the enablers, but first the organization leaders need to focus on where the business and process optimization they should enable. Then we can look at how this technology will help. So again, for the benefit of the organizations who are trying to get into this race of digital transformation or industry 4.0 initiatives, what is business and operational excellence? as in by definition, if you could help them to demystify this.
That's right. So, CK, rightly you put that, especially currently when many organizations would like to adopt the new technologies, Industry 4.0, artificial intelligence, and number of other new areas which they would like to take benefit of. It's very important, once again, to understand. I once again will use the word current state where we are today, so that a correct technology or a correct process can be adopted. When we're talking about current state, most business leaders must be very clear about primarily three things. First thing is about the products and services which every organization has, whether the relevance of these products and services is short term or it is going to remain a little bit longer. One has to make a very clear understanding whether these products require, are they very relevant for generations, current generation or future generations? Do I have to make any changes there? Secondly, the most important thing is about CK is about the people. Currently, they have to be very clear whether the people I have, and especially the customer facing people. I have been in my career as a sales leader and a sales excellence coach most of the time. And the reason I focus into that area of sales, because when things are changing, I mean, people's expectations are changing, customers' expectations are changing. The first person who stands in front of this changing expectation customer is a salesperson. And we need to be very clear whether our current sales resources, are they capable enough? Do they have all the skills that they will be in a position to be successful with the current products and processes as well as with the future products and processes? Thirdly, which is the most important, as you also mentioned, that most business leaders, it's extremely important to find out and put a KPI, put a measurement that how much time they have besides the operations of their company to study the trends of the industry, to study the competition, their strengths, and the SWOT analysis of yourself, as well as of your competition, as well as your customers. It requires a lot of time. It requires one has to analyze the right parameters. If most business leaders do not have enough time into analyzing this SWOT analysis of customers, competition, and themselves, it becomes a little bit challenging for them to take the right decisions. So when we say current state, it becomes a self-reflection. And as you mentioned, that reflect, recalibrate, and rebound. The reflection part basically means that one should be in a position to ask the right questions to themselves. Do I have enough time, or I am very busy in operations daily basis? Do I look at only at the outcome of my operations, whether revenue or profit or return of investment, or I am looking at certain leading KPIs, that what are the preconditions which will give me the desired outcome, if those preconditions I am measuring them or not. So this is what is, in case one is able to identify those leading KPIs, if one is able to find or make their processes simpler so that the business leaders have time to do this analysis on a regular basis, this whole scenario is called business excellence. That business excellence does not mean that I am doing something today, my profits are good, my revenues are good. How to sustain this success in future, it requires certain parameters to be identified and to be measured and to be reviewed. If that process is there in any company, normally we will call them, they are business-wise excellent companies.
So now coming to a bit more tech discussion here. So let's look at this whole digital ecosystem. And as we know, there are tons and tons of solutions providers. And then there are solution seekers, be it in manufacturing, healthcare, transportation, agri-tech, and all the verticals. Let's start with first solution seekers, the companies who are looking to implement these technologies and trying to same time dealing with the situation we are in today. So while there are a lot of discussions that COVID has accelerated this digital transformation journey, at the same time, these organizations are dealing with the dilemma of the short-term business objective, the cash flow, the revenue quarter by quarter targets. At the same time, the long-term sustainability challenges that what they should do, that while they hopefully address the current cash flow challenges, but they should remain relevant and sustain in the future. So they shouldn't overlook that part. So based on your experience, and I'm sure in your last 30, 40 years, you have seen similar challenges, if not like COVID, but a lot of such business difficulties organizations need to deal with. So what do you think and what your recommendation would be for the organizations going forward?
Right, CK. So one thing is very clear. I think all of us know that this current situation, which all of us are living currently for the last 7, 8 months, is an extremely unusual situation. We all the time had disruptions for every company. These are disruptions are a part of life. There are new regulations, there are new competitions, there are new technologies. Every time there are multiple factors which disrupt our businesses, and we need to adapt or adopt new situations in a very structured way. But currently, right now, because of this COVID situation, this external factor has affected an entire, let me put it, the word called value chain. So in any organization, a value chain basically means it's a set of processes, starting from what you source from somewhere, something, then you process that product or service, and then you finally make a product or service for an end customer. So this entire set of processes have been affected by this current situation, because whether it is logistics, whether it is people, and whether it is customer demand, everything has been affected. So in the current situation, or let me put it this way, before COVID, most of the companies in a normal disruptive environment had three choices, most of the business leaders. Number one, either it's called a status quo. I am doing very well and I don't have to make any major changes. I'll continue to do things like that. There are certain companies who could do that. The second option they had was to do some improvements, that do some continuous improvements, improve their supply chain processes, demand planning, or sales or marketing, or HR or finance processes. The third option was to transform, business transform, that what I'm doing today is not going to be relevant 2 years later, then I need to transform completely. So a retailer, for example, who has a brick and mortar shop and he would like to completely transform as an online retailer, it is called transformation. I totally think something differently. In the current scenario, these options are not that very clear, because number one, remaining a status quo is not an option at all, CK, in the current situation. Any company which says that I'm doing right in current situation and I remain the same, I think that will not give a very pretty outcome.
Right, right.
Second option, to improve. Now, for many companies are in a very difficult situations, depending upon the sector. Some companies actually have done better because new opportunities have come in, but certain organizations have very major challenges. And if the customers are completely not buying, for example, anything to do with aviation or travel or hospitality, and these are the areas which, even if you improve every process, the customers are not coming there. And then improving the processes can have a marginal effect. In that situation, what is required is a application of a methodology called Lean. I think most of your audience here would be very familiar. Lean is a methodology which basically says that one can identify certain unproductive components, or sometimes they were called wastages in the processes, so that you can optimize whatever you are doing to survive in the current situation. In a simpler words, people call it cost cutting. Now, cost cutting is a option for many businesses to survive, as I mentioned. If the customers are absent, in that case, one has to make a major correction in the processes, and do a lean methodology has to be applied. Why I'm saying lean? Any cost reduction should not be done in a very abrupt manner. It must be done in a very methodical way. And if you need to work with lower resources or less resources, but with higher outcome, the quality of those resources need to be improved. So what needs to be improved primarily is the capability of people, the capability of the processes, that even if you need to downsize your business, whatever remains, that has to be very high quality. And that is where this is a fantastic opportunity to identify which resources are required to remain with the organization, and those resources need to be upskilled, they need to be upgraded. As you know, in Singapore, government of Singapore all the time is encouraging companies to use this period to upskill their people, so that number one, even with less resources, they can get same outcome or better outcome. And secondly, when the businesses become better, when situation will become better, which hopefully will get better in next few months' time, you can rebound at a faster speed than what you would have done in previous disruptions. So improving the quality of the processes, improving the quality of the key resources is very, very important in this period. That is the second word you call recalibration. You look at your current situation, you look at your processes, you look at your resources, especially you look at your salespeople, because they are the one who will be the first person to stand in front of the new customer. People are working from home, or now the requirement of those employees is different than somebody who is going to the office. So you need to identify the new requirements, and to be able to see that our products and services are relevant to the new expectations of the customers. So that is what is currently my recommendation would be, that for those companies where the customers are getting absent or the customer size has become drastically low, please apply the lean principle to correct your processes and your resources and upskill the key resources. Secondly, those companies where customers are there, but they are different expectations of customers, they will have to do a recalibration into either the what type of products and services need to be readjusted. But most important thing is looking at the process. When I say process, is actually just now you mentioned about the solutions, the technology, the number of technology vendors are available. Which technologies are going to help my processes to become more effective? Which technologies are going to make my resources more productive? So identification of the right technology, so that I can reach my future state faster despite the current major disruption. That is also a very important thing most companies should do. Identification of the right technologies, but sometimes it is not very easy for the business leaders to scan the entire technology spectrum to see which technologies are going to be good for me, what type of digital transformation I need to do. Do I have to make some changes in my HR processes, in my finance processes, or in my sales marketing processes? In that area, there are companies like yours, CK, like AllThingsConnected, who is completely in touch with the key technology vendors. You should be in a position to give that type of advice to the solution seekers, that which technologies would be more suitable for them. But at the same time, taking a new technology is not a very simple process. Also, it's also is a very complex process, because every technology may not be able to give the same impact to every company. One has to look at their current processes. Are my current processes suitable enough to adopt a new technology or not? Putting a new technology in a very old processes may be a disaster. So also, companies like yourself, CK, AllThingsConnected, could also help customers to look at the current processes and to advise them that which processes need to be tweaked so that a new technology will give the maximum benefit. So this is a whole process of looking at your current state, looking at the tools and technologies which are going to take you to the future state, and then tune your current state with the new technology and move forward with benefit after benefit type of situation, rather than disaster by disaster situation.
As we also work with clients on the solution seeker side of it. So typically we break it down this journey into four stages. One is discovery phase, basically where we sit down with the customers, as you said rightly, look at where do they stand, where their readiness level is, to fine tune the gaps, fine tune the challenges. Then we go to the next level, which is the planning phase, which includes some of the topic which you also highlighted, like capability development, because we need to have those people ready, not just those who are into the boardroom, but also the mid management level, like plant managers or operations head. So this is where we also work with the client to sometime help building some capabilities for the team so that they are more adaptive to such technologies, and then also work with them hand in hand about some new business model, the ROI matrices. Then we go to the next level, which is the execution, where we help again with them to identify the right technologies, and then who will provide those technologies as a technology providers, which fits technically, fits commercially in a more holistic, integrated manner to solve those business gap which we identified in the previous two steps, to now help and use the technology to fill those gaps. And then lastly, in our framework, a typical project, like we don't close this journey because it's a continuous journey. We look ahead. We look ahead how the organization should be able to sustain and remain relevant. So I think you put it nicely that when we look into current state to future state, how what organization from the solution seeker point of view should keep in mind to not just kind of cut down the cost just because they have to do to survive. At the same time, they need to look ahead that if they cut down the people or the businesses with the same resources, how they should come back, rebound quickly, because everybody look for the good time and we don't want to be left behind when the time is good, right? So these are the few things I think solution seekers should look into to address the current challenges of the business, but at the same time, what they should do to remain relevant. And in fact, just on the same topic, we did a recent short survey on LinkedIn also, and we asked 4 questions what they should do as an organization. So the top two points which most of the people said what they should do is actually, one is upskilling the team, that the organization should focus on upskilling the team for them to rebound quickly. Second was to invest into new solutions, innovative solution for them to transform as organization. So now coming to the next side of the spectrum, which is the solution providers, right? And again, if you look at any map of digital ecosystem, whether AI ecosystem, 5G ecosystem, or platform ecosystem, there are thousands of companies out there, right? And when we talk about solutions in IoT or digital transformation, there is no one company who can do everything. Within that, if I just add quickly, there are 3 broad layers. One is startups company, the early stage startups. Then there are scale up companies, and then there are large, big MNCs out there, right? But most of them provide a piece of solution, not entire solution. So what do you think? Because they typically struggle. So they have this wonderful piece of software or hardware piece, but they still struggle to sell to the end customer. So what do you think some of the key challenges the solution providers should address so that they can basically capture more of the businesses in this digital transformation?
Right. So CK, of course, when we talked about one side that there are businesses who would like to transform themselves and they would require certain solutions and technologies which will take them to the new future state. Solution providers too, they have to also look at the customers in a very holistic manner. It's not that something I have a product and I just want to give it to this customer, and then that customer would be everything in that customer's processes will become all right. There will be multiple areas which needs to be seen, whether the solution which a solution provider is offering, how effectively it is holistically benefiting the customer. So let me give you an example that besides just the new technologies and new products, a customer, from a customer's perspective, their pain points are in normally in the four areas. The process management, I will explain each of them. The program management, performance management, and more importantly, the change management. These, they all look very business transformation related terminology, but it is important to understand. And if a solution provider is able to address these four areas, that besides giving my products and services to a customer, I'm also addressing how these products and services or new technology is going to integrate with your current processes, and if the processes need to be tweaked or to be improvised or simplified or optimized, that is something should be an offering of the technology vendor. They should not just dump a product and then let them figure out how to handle it. If they are able to give this particular value addition, that let me also see your current process, current state or current processes, and see how my technology fits there well, their success chances will become very, very high. Second is about program management. As just now you mentioned, that just giving one product may not be the final ambition or final requirement of a customer. A customer may require few other technologies also which complement each other. So in a position to give that advice to a customer that even you can use my products and services, but you may also require something else which I do not have today. For example, cybersecurity. If I am giving a solution which will require a cybersecurity to be strengthened, you need to be able to give advice to the customer as a consultant that you will benefit very highly if you also look at your cybersecurity or something else which will be required to make the benefit or impact very high. This is called program management, and how different technologies could work together. And not necessarily each technology vendor will have these capabilities. And in that area, a company like yourself, AllThingsConnected, can play a very major role, where you are bringing a multiple solution vendors or technology vendors to same customer, but how to integrate all these technologies together is called program management. Third one is performance management, that any products and services which any company is offering to a customer, they should be in a position to very clearly articulate that how my products and services are going to add value to the customer. The word value is not simply an English word. This value should be a numerical word. It should be in a position to translate their proposition, their proposal, that why using my products and services is going to increase your revenue by 10% or 12% or 15%. How my products and services are going to increase a return of investment by 3%, 4%, or 5%. People would like to see a percentage figure in number, that if I take your products and services, how much in their P&L, in a profit and loss statement, there are few key components of that. There's a top line, which is revenue. Is this going to increase my revenue? Is it going to increase my gross profit? Because that is one of the items in profit and loss statement. Is it going to reduce my expenditure, which is also a part of P&L, my operational cost? Or is it finally just going to increase my bottom line, which is my final profitability and my return of investment? So if a vendor, technology vendor, is able to articulate these 4 or 5 value points very clearly with substantiation, then their success chances become very high. And lastly is about change management. Bringing a new process and bringing a new technology to a customer is one aspect, but company is not just a abstract name. There are people there. There are, especially the resources, the people. People should be in a position to accept the new technology to be able to use that technology without resisting it. And if you give a new tool or a new software, very complicated, and your people are not able to use it properly, it will become very difficult for them to be very successful with the new technology. So change management is another skill which is needed either by a solution seeker or a solution provider should be in a position to offer a change management services, that how we will communicate it to the people, how we will do a pilot run, how we are going to show benefit after benefit. So instead of reaching directly from one place to another, can we make a staircase that we climb one step and then we celebrate, and then we climb another step and we celebrate, so that everybody comes along with you. All these things put together makes a solution perfect. Just giving a single product without process management, without program management, without performance management, and without change management, most people find it difficult. So this is my suggestion, that a solutions provider should be in a position to see who is providing, either they are providing or they are partnering with companies like yourself, so that holistically all these areas or pain areas of a solution seeker can be addressed.
Correct. I think you put it rightly, because that's why we call it a transformation digital, not a digital first and then transformation later. Transformation is critical, and to help companies as a solution providers, as we know, we call it a consultative solution sales. So it's not just about getting with this license software or some advanced analytics platform or hardware. Company will transform. The solution provider should help company to understand, sometime to help them see what they can't see also.
Yes.
Right? Because many companies in this complex digital transformation journey where they want to adopt, but they're not very clear where the benefits are, the values are, as you said, not value just as hypothetical English word, but something more tangible.
Yes.
And this is where sometimes the creativity comes in, the big value comes in, where you can help company create more business revenues, new business models, so that it helps them to grow the top line. And this is where sometimes, again, solution providers struggle, because they're not foresee or they're not able to understand those nuances from the business point of view.
One point here I would like to just summarize that to provide all this, besides our products and services, and then all of this other value addition to a customer, sometimes, especially as you said, the startup companies or scale-up companies may find it sometimes very difficult to find a very high quality sales resources, because this is the job of sales. Again, I'm saying the customer facing resources, that is generally the sales force. So are their sales people completely kept, their capabilities is so high, so that they able to identify which processes needs to be tweaked? Are they able to identify whether what other technologies will be will be required, adjacent technologies? Are they able to make a identify the leading KPIs for the solution seeker, that what performance areas need to be reviewed, need to be measured, so that they can check the benefit is happening or not? So this is also is very important skills for a sales guys. And finally, the change management, that once this technology is being deployed, what are the other areas required to make it a big success? All of these skills can be coached, the salespeople. But one of the things which I have noticed, a lot of young companies who would like to come to Asia Pacific, for example, who have been very successful in Europe and US or other places, in the beginning they may not be able to have a very high quality resources immediately. And my suggestion would be that there are new models are coming. If a company want to come into an area and they are not able to hire full-time, expensive, highly qualified sales resources, for example, they could also work, and there are models available today that those high quality sales resources can be engaged for a project basis or on a need basis. so that they can provide all of these high value addition to the customer, so that the chances of success of winning a major strategic account becomes very high. So my suggestion is this thing for strategic accounts, for large accounts, instead of relying only on their own internal resources. These the new companies which are coming to the new region, they should be in a position to look for the models. Company like yourself could be one of the areas they can go, where expert sales, very experienced sales resources would help these companies win references and win some large accounts. So that is another way, another new futuristic way people can see. It's like a cloud technology that you get your resources when you need it. You don't have to hire or own your resources all the time. Similarly, sales is normally people used to keep it themselves, that sales people will remain mine. I cannot outsource my sales operations. But as the things going forward, where a solution seeker requires just more than just the technology and the product, and it requires very high level of capabilities and competence, um, companies can have look at this option of uh, engaging such high quality sales resources on a need basis. Sales excellence, again, there are 3 or 4 points. All the solution providers must do a self-reflection again themselves, that do I have my salespeople who are responsible to present our products and services to the stakeholders in a customer's place. They require what you call in Philips, there's a word we call it called situational fluency. Basically, it means that there should be at least 4 criteria of a salespeople. People should be in a position to do a self-reflection. Do I have all those things or not? My salespeople should have very good people skill. That is very important for every salespeople. They should be in a position to articulate very well and so on. And if they are not, you can make an improvement into that particular area. Second is called situational skills, which just now I mentioned to you. A salesperson should be in a position to understand the processes, the what type of change management, what type of performance management, what type of leading KPIs. They should be knowledgeable enough how to identify these current situation of a customer. It's called a situational skill of a customer. It is also a skill which can be taught to the salespeople. Third one is about capability skills, which is their own products and services. They should be able to completely understand, articulate their products and services very well, but not just that I have a great software. How this software will be translate into increasing your top line and what percentage it will go up to the percentage level. And any board meeting in any company in a solution seeker places, they talk about numbers. They talk about the top line in percent of what is the growth rate. So salespeople should be in a position to articulate their own products and services benefits in the numerical terms of percentages of growth in sales or reduction in cost or increase in ROI. Lastly is about the sales process, which is, as you also mentioned, it is extremely important for the salespeople to understand the sales process, which starts from the planning. They need to plan how to proceed. I have just come in here. I have a small office. I have few people, but planning becomes very important. From planning to identifying the opportunities, to qualifying the opportunities, to developing a solution or co-develop the solution with the customer, and then making a proposal, which is a very professional proposal, and then finally closing the order, and then making sure that the order gets executed and revenue is recognized. So this entire sales process must be, and for each of these stages, CK, there is a set of skills required, and it is very important for solution providers to understand which skills are missing, which are the capability gaps, and which I need to correct, and that is what they should do it in the current period. Identification of the capability gaps is a very major activity which I would recommend people to have in current situation. And thirdly and lastly, it is extremely important for the salespeople to map the sales process, I say from identification, from planning to identification, right up to the closing of the order. This is a sales process, but then there is a buying process of a customer. A customer remains in a latent pain first. They have a problem, but it is not big enough to look for a solution. But a salesperson should be able to engage with even those customers who are living in a latent pain that they may not be my customer in this quarter, but they may be my customer in 2 quarters later. So instead of just jumping and looking for customers who are looking for solutions, salespeople should also be in a position to identify customers who have their pain in a initial stage. It is not big enough, they're not going to buy something tomorrow. But if you remain engaged with them, it is very likely that when the latent pain becomes actual pain, they are going to give a call to you because you have been engaged with them. And then a customer does evaluation of solutions, and then they do risk management of a salesperson should be able to understand the buying process, and the sales process should be mapped onto the. I'm saying all of those things because many companies do analysis of their sales capability. It's called sales excellence. All these things, since you mentioned the word sales excellence, I tried to make it a little bit more clear that all these four qualities of people skills, situational skills, skills of capability, translation into value, and finally about the sales processes mapped onto buying processes. All of these areas needs to be addressed to become successful. If you have a great product and you have a great HR and great finance and great supply chain and great everything, but in case the sales areas are not that strong, success becomes more challenging.
I completely agree with you. I think this is what the solution provider should think ahead while they focus on building the great products, presuming that it will sell by itself. But in the complex world of digital transformation, solution sales become very critical, complex, but at the same time, it can be done. It's not that something impossible.
Yeah.
And this is where the skills comes in the picture, as you rightly said, that what we need to build as a skill, whether in-house or partner with organizations like us or others, to help basically go through the entire process. And this is where actually All Things Connected has always been focusing on, to work with solution seekers who are looking to get into Industry 4.0 journey or transformation journey. At the same time, working with some unique solution providers and continuously evaluating them, that how can we help them more strategically to accelerate their growth, to be successful in winning the projects. So thanks again, Rajeev. It was wonderful speaking with you.
Thank you, CK, and thanks for this opportunity to share some thoughts. And I look forward to such discussion in future too.